My name is Jake Seaman.
I'm Kurt Vardaman.
I'm Lane Westerhouse.
And I'm Amy Wiesneck.
Our project was Farming in the Mississippi Canyon, Block 252, and this is the presentation of our project management plan. Our company, LJAC Resources, is investigating the farm-in of the Mississippi Canyon, Block 252, as seen in this figure, for further production and investment. Our goal is to determine the remaining reserves and determine the anticipated profit that can be generated from obtaining this acreage. From our research, we have gained knowledge on the practice of farming in and will use this in evaluating this deal. Because of the Deepwater Horizon blowout in 2010, many larger companies are hesitant to continue producing in this lease block for fear of damaging their public image. For this reason, a smaller independent company with limited assets would have an advantage in developing the lease. Our first deliverable is to calculate original oil in place. To do this, we will conduct a volumetric analysis using petrophysical properties determined from well logs found in and around the lease block. Our second deliverable is to provide an estimate of remaining reserves. This will be done through both gas material balance and decline curve analysis in order to ensure that we have accurate estimates. Our third deliverable is to provide drilling, completion, and production costs in order to conduct our final economic analysis of the deal, which is our fourth deliverable. Our project scope will be defined by three limiting factors: geography, availability of data, and time. In regards to geography, the scope of our project is Block 252 of the Mississippi Canyon in the Gulf of Mexico. The second limiting factor of our project is the availability of data, which is the factor that minimizes the scope of our project the most. Since we do not have any wells ourselves, we must rely on public data to make necessary calculations of reserves and costs. The Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement will be our primary source of data and will be the organization we obtain well log data from. Secondly, we plan to obtain data from the Congressional Report of the Deepwater Horizon case. There is vital pressure data here that we can use to calculate hydrocarbons in place by material balance. We will also be able to find supplemental data through various SPE papers and data available through Sunrise. Our project will include these listed deliverables as seen here on the slide, but it will not include ISOPAC maps as we initially thought. After our initial research, we do not believe that we will have enough data nodes to create accurate and usable maps.
I'm Amy Wiesneck, and I'm going to discuss the project management approach. This is the projectized diagram illustrating team member responsibilities. As we discussed in our project charter, all responsibilities will be approached as a team and handled democratically. But that being said, each team member will be responsible for leading the completion of their assigned area, with each area being addressed in a collaborative effort as a team. All of our work will be approved by our project sponsor. In addition to these responsibilities, each member will be responsible for managing different aspects of progress according to our project management plan. Jake Seaman will be the quality manager, Kurt Vardaman will be the scope manager, Lane Westerhouse will be the cost manager, and Amy Wiesneck will be the project manager. We have outlined the major milestones we will reach during the progress of our project. As the fall semester is coming to an end, our milestones for the spring semester will be the focus of our summary schedule and schedule management plan. Petrophysical analysis, cost analysis, and project completion will be the areas of concentration. We have created a comprehensive list of the activities needed to be completed to reach the end of each milestone during the spring. Based on the dependence of the succeeding activities on the respective preceding activity, we have created a Gantt-type schedule management plan.
Hi, I'm Lane Westerhouse, and I'm going to discuss the time estimations and resources of our project. Shown here on the left is a table of our time estimations to complete each activity described on the previous slide. To arrive at these numbers, we calculated these values by adding the optimistic time, the pessimistic time, and 4 times the most likely. We divided the sum by 6 to obtain our estimated completion time. On the right, we have our Gantt chart. This illustrates the activity list with respect to the time frame in which we expect to complete the project. We have also added the arrows to indicate the dependence of certain actions on the completion of preceding activities. These activities are more specific than the milestones, making it easier to assign leadership of each task based on the previously listed group responsibilities. There are not too many resources needed to complete our project. However, our biggest challenge is acquiring all the necessary data. Once this is accomplished, all calculations and determinations that follow will be relatively straightforward, and because of the nature of the data, we prefer to have unlimited access. and there is no anticipated conflicts that could affect the accessibility of the data. To interpret the data, our main software will be Microsoft Excel, and we do not foresee that we need to use any more advanced software to complete the project. Microsoft Excel is readily available on campus, so there will be no additional costs from that approach. Some of our data has already been acquired. We have already gained access to the congressional report, which has valuable well logs, which is shown right here on the right. As well, we have also determined information dealing with the farming procedures and information that will lead to a more successful approach. On the right, we have provided a resource calendar which shows exactly what our resources are and when we're expecting to have them provided by. An effective communication plan is essential to the success of our project. As each team member has separate roles they are in charge of, they will be responsible for keeping the team up to date on these aspects. Jake Seaman will be in charge of all drilling cost analysis. He will be responsible for calculating all costs involved with drilling and any other costs involved with the project. Kurt Vardaman will be in charge of the economic analysis of the project. This will include doing a detailed decline curve analysis from which he can determine the future production and profitability of the reservoir. Lane Westerhouse will be in charge of gathering all offset well data, including lease operating costs and any other costs involved with the lease. From this information, he will be able to provide a more in-depth analysis of the profitability of the well. Amy Wiesneck, as the project manager, will be responsible for communicating with our sponsor. She will also be responsible for material balance calculations and reporting calculations that will lead to an estimation of oil in place. Listed here is our main forms of communication. Most communication will be done in our weekly meetings as well as the meetings between our project manager and the sponsor. We will also communicate through email to give each member an updated progress report. Also listed is our group contact information.
Hello, my name is Jake Seaman, and I will be discussing the risk, cost, and quality management plans. Pertaining to risk management, since we are not conducting an experiment for our project, most of the risk associated will come in the form of not finding enough useful data. There's a risk that we will not be able to find this in order to perform a petrophysical analysis to conduct our reserves estimations. We've identified 4 major risks, all pertaining to lack of data. That includes not finding enough well log data, pressure data, and production data, as well as drilling and completion costs. Our biggest risk, with a score of 32, as seen on our risk management register, is not finding enough production data. Not being able to obtain this would disable us from completing a decline curve analysis and material balance analysis. The risk register describes who is responsible for each risk and what we would do in order to avoid them. As seen in the cost baseline, our team anticipates very few costs, chiefly them being obtaining well log data. In the graph below it, we describe a way that we measure whether or not to initiate the cost variance response process. If our actual costs exceed our budgeted costs by more than 10%, we initiate the process seen on the right. First, we will identify the exceeded costs and or problems to the project. Then we have a team meeting where we deliberate solutions to this, proctored by me, the cost manager. Next, the project manager will present this to the sponsor for rejection, denial, or revision. Then, once it is completed and approved, we will implement this solution and continue with the project. This same process can be applied to the quality and scope processes as well. The quality baseline will give us a measurable standard for which to ensure our project's reliability. Our Mississippi Canyon Block 252 farm-in proposal must be well-founded and provide a reasonable degree of certainty. Below are listed items for whose reliability is of a delicate nature for the team to maintain in a proper range of confidence. Listed are our PowerPoint's works cited, and thank you very much for your consideration.